I walked into the Tuesday morning ops meeting already 2 cups deep and still regretting showing up on time. The conference room smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. I sat in my usual spot, back left corner, half hidden behind a dead ficus someone forgot to water after Q1 layoffs. Then she walked in, Lacy Corrigan, interim VP of Ops, fresh off some startup exit that probably involved an app no one asked for. She wore a cream turtleneck and those oversized glasses people wear when they want to look smart without saying anything. She clapped her hands and smiled like we were all toddlers. Okay, folks, let's reimagine fulfillment like it's a conversation, not a constraint. I blinked. She had a PowerPoint titled Operational Flow, a journey, not a plan, a journey. Lacy started talking about /B testing warehouse cadence to optimize vibe feedback loops, like we were Spotify, not a logistics chain spanning 3 states, 2 ports, and a union contract so airtight it had been blessed by 4 different lawyers and an act of God. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I raised a hand. If you're testing fulfillment cycles mid-quarter without a rollback path, you're gambling with shipment accuracy. You break routing dependencies, you lose entire sub-regions. She waved her hand like I was talking about printer ink. I hear you, but we're prioritizing culture over control. Our system's too rigid. We need flow. Culture over control? That's not strategy. That's an excuse. My name's Nathan. I'm 42. I live in Elk Grove, California. For the past 8 years, I've run operations engineering for a company that ships about $20 million of merchandise a month. I built the back end. I own the automation frameworks. Everything that moves in and out of those facilities goes through systems I designed. Lacy didn't ask about any of that. Didn't ask about staging latency, inventory windows, data integrity models. None of it. She was here for optics. She had some Pinterest-flavored vision about brand modernization, soft-touch ops, and decentralized work joy. Then she dropped the line, I want to decouple routing intelligence from fulfillment nodes by next sprint. That's when I knew. She wasn't leading ops. She was gutting it. I leaned back, said nothing else. Just opened my laptop, flipped to logs, and started marking what she was touching. I didn't know how fast she'd move, but I knew where this was going. She was coming for my systems next. By the second week of January, my calendar looked like a graveyard. Meetings I'd run for years, gone, my ops sync, canceled until further notice. I checked Slack, channels where we coordinated site uptime, and shipping reports were archived with no warning. I messaged my lead dev, Chris. You seeing this? He replied with one word, pods. Turns out Lacy had split the team into agile pods. No structure, no oversight, just groups of junior staff chasing whatever ideas she floated in her morning syncs. Some were redesigning dashboards. Others were renaming modules like it was a rebranding seminar. I got pulled into a meeting with HR after I pushed back in one thread, just asked why we were testing unstable builds in production. Melissa from HR, the same one who handed out branded stress balls last layoff, hit me with, we're asking everyone to be more emotionally agile. I almost laughed. I didn't. What she meant was, shut up and play along. So I did the opposite. I stopped talking, started working. Every night, after my regular hours, I stayed late, quietly, logged every deployment Lacy's teams pushed, saved screenshots, copied system logs, exported weekly compliance diffs. She didn't know it, but every shortcut she took left a mark. I'd written half of our infrastructure contracts years ago, back when we migrated to a hybrid cloud setup. Late one night, I pulled up an archived PDF from legal and started reading through it line by line. Page 37, Clause 14, 1C. It was short, barely a paragraph, but I remembered writing it. It said, if operational assets are reassigned or deprecated without formal technical sign-off from designated authority, control of said assets reverts to original architect until compliance restoration is certified. Me. I was the designated authority. She didn't know it existed. Legal probably didn't remember either, but it was in there. Contract signed. Still valid. All she had to do was screw up once, in the right way, and she was screwing up a lot. I didn't trigger anything yet, just pulled up the clause, verified the language, checked the archival timestamps, and confirmed the original notarization with Clear Hill Systems. Lacy kept spinning her startup nonsense, dragging the team through morale surveys and design thinking workshops. She hosted a meeting with product one day and said, "Fulfillment shouldn't be a bottleneck, it should be a shared experience." I muted the call and stared at my screen. My systems weren't experiences. They were engineered fail-safes, designed to keep billions in product moving across states, ports, and time zones. You don't vibe test freight lanes. You don't prototype shipment compliance. I watched the dashboards daily. I knew where she was chipping away, replacing old logic with shiny new half-finished garbage. And I didn't stop her. I let her walk right into it. Every unchecked rollout, every compliance break, every Slack channel she archived without review. She thought I was sidelined, quiet. 2 weeks later, I sat in my home office, tie half-tied, eyes on the screen, while my second monitor glowed red with back-end alert pings. Lacy had scheduled an investor update call, full exec visibility, outside board presence, even a compliance liaison on mute from Boston. She smiled into the camera like nothing was broken. "Thanks for joining, everyone. We've successfully transitioned to a modular architecture across all fulfillment nodes, full compliance, full visibility, and early results show a 12% throughput gain quarter over quarter." That was a lie. Routing Module B was still running on legacy code, stuff I wrote 6 years ago. The time-stamping system hadn't been updated to sync with the newer queuing logic. Anyone who pulled a data audit could see the lag. I unmuted. "Sorry, quick correction." Her eyes flicked to the bottom corner of her screen. I kept my voice calm. "Legacy routing module is still active. Timestamp sync is off by 3 hours. That creates a real risk. Reporting data won't match actual fulfillment flow. That's not compliant." Lacy froze, just for a second. Then she turned, fake smile still stretched on her face, and said, "Mute him." There was a pause. Then a click. My mic went dead. They all saw it. No argument, no debate, no rebuttal, just erased. I didn't say another word, just reached into my drawer, grabbed the envelope, the one I notarized, time-stamped, and sealed months ago, and held it up, right there in frame. Held it for 3 seconds. Long enough, then I logged out. Click. That action, her action, triggered the exact clause I'd embedded in the infrastructure contract. System logs recorded the mute as a removal of technical authority from the original architect. It was all there. Legal triggers, audit trail, timestamp. Clause 14(1)(c) didn't care about feelings. Didn't care about workplace culture or emotional agility. It cared about systems, authority, and violations. I sat back, eyes on the screen, as my local console lit up in yellow. A background task kicked off automatically. Tracking changes, shifting permissions, revoking hooks. Back-end code I'd set up a year ago activated the minute that mute hit the logs. Everything she touched after that moment, routing configs, compliance keys, fulfillment nodes, started ghosting her access. I knew she didn't realize it yet. She was probably still smiling on that call, bluffing through her charts, pretending nothing cracked. But it had. The control she thought she had, gone. I'd given her rope for 5 months. She wrapped it around every system she could touch. Every shortcut, every fake metric, every lie about rollout speed or user feedback. I let her stack them, higher and higher. All I had to do was wait for her to kick the stool. I stared at the empty call screen, took a deep breath, and saved a copy of the log file to a secure drive. I made one backup, then another. Then I opened the system console and watched as her admin account blinked. Red, red, red. Access denied. Revocation acknowledged. I didn't sleep that night. I rested, light, still, back straight in my chair, eyes flicking between 3 monitors and the soft hum of a backup drive spinning up under my desk. At 12:47 a.m., Nexus Flow flagged its first fatal error. Dependency tree broke. Routing intelligence couldn't find 3 key modules because they didn't exist anymore. Lacy had rebranded and replaced them last sprint. No rollback, no backups, no tech sign-off. The system started choking. By 2 a.m., live order data rerouted to Distribution Center 6. That building had been demolished 9 months ago. A warehouse shell with no lights, no staff, no loading dock. By 3:22, the alerts turned red. Order mismatch volume spiked. Refund triggers queued in 5-second loops. I sat quiet, watching. The junior devs tried to reroute traffic manually. They didn't have the keys. They didn't even know where the keys were. At 4:10 a.m., 3 different execs from sales and finance tagged me on Slack. "Nate, are you seeing this? Systems aren't responding. Do you have override?" I read the messages. Didn't reply. At 6:35, Lacy finally showed up in the internal ops channel. "Need Nathan to assist ASAP. We're escalating." No mention of muting me. No mention of the investor call. Just fake urgency, like we were on the same side. At 7:12, she sent me a private message. "Please help. Something is wrong with Nexus Flow." Something is wrong? I leaned back, cracked my neck, reached for the mug next to my keyboard. It was lukewarm, stale, but I drank it anyway. Added powdered creamer. No sugar. I opened the window. Cold air slid across my arms. The sun hadn't risen yet, but the birds were up. They didn't care about Lacy's TED Talk nonsense or her Vibe Flow synergy slides. Compliance sync failed for the third state. Refunds auto-processed by the thousands. Customer support queues collapsed under the flood. Chatbots tripped over missing APIs. Live agents couldn't access order history. And the dashboard, the one only I could see, lit up like a forest fire. Her system was burning, and I let it. No alerts, no warnings, no messages. Because if you want control, you take responsibility. And if you silence the one person holding the foundation together, you better be damn sure you built something solid underneath. She hadn't. So I let the fire spread. At 8:03 a.m., legal started sniffing around. The first ping came from Mara, mid-level counsel, sharp, way too good for that company. His subject line, urgent, routing failures. Hosting contract inquiry. They weren't asking how to fix it. They were asking who had the authority to. By noon, finance flagged 4 regulatory breaches: California, Missouri, and Delaware. Refund overflows triggered consumer protection auto reports. Nexus Flow's audit log was a mess. Someone in accounting tried to blame it on a bad deploy, but the tech chain was clean. No deploy, no rollback, no access. The system wasn't failing. It was locked. By 1:30, Mara's tone changed. I got a follow-up. "Do you know anything about Clause 14.1c? I didn't answer. 5 minutes later, a different email thread popped up. This one with outside counsel CC'd and 4 attachments. They'd found the clause buried in the hosting contract, Section 14, subsection 1c, highlighted, flagged, with a big red comment that said, "Trigger condition met." It didn't take long from there. They ran a version comparison on the archived copy from 2 years ago and the notarized update I filed 4 months back. Digital timestamps matched. Revision trail clean. Third-party confirmation verified by Clear Hill Systems. My trust. It was legal, it was binding, and it was live. Clause 14.1c. If operational assets are reassigned, deprecated, or modified without formal technical sign-off from the designated authority, the full operational control reverts to that authority until technical compliance is restored. They saw it. Then they saw the logs. Lacy had pushed over a dozen structural changes to live systems without a single approval. Routing modules removed, audit layers renamed, fulfillment nodes rebranded to match some branding initiative she cooked up in a whiteboard session. No review, no sign-off. I'd been the designated authority since 2019. She hadn't just tripped the wire. She'd danced on it in heels. What sealed it was the call recording, the investor update. They had the footage, full screen share, system logs, and her saying, "Mute him." They time-stamped the mute, matched it to the log entry where my authority was revoked, matched that to the automated trigger in the back-end system. Junior counsel confirmed it live on a call. The mute action constitutes functional deauthorization. That's the condition? Mara didn't say anything for a second. Then she asked, "The envelope he held up, was that real?" The intern, poor kid, sounded like he was fresh out of college, said, "Yes. Timestamp matches Clear Hill's notarization. It's already logged." That's when everything shifted. The panic went quiet. Legal realized the whole ops layer, the one they thought they modernized, wasn't theirs anymore. It was under trust control, mine, and it wasn't a loophole. It wasn't a bug. It was a contract. Signed, enforced, triggered. Their systems were still running, but the keys, gone. Mara asked for a call. I declined. I wasn't dodging. I just didn't have anything else to say. They'd spent months ignoring warnings, brushing past systems I'd spent 8 years building, stripping out protections for the sake of optics. Now, those same protections were biting back, hard. At 4:42 p.m., I got a forwarded memo. Clear Hill Systems currently holds legal operational authority over all fulfillment infrastructure as of timestamp 2025-01-14. 09-34-56. They tried to redact it, but it was already in the chain. Too late. They could argue culture, talk about synergy and innovation and agile pods until their eyes bled. But contracts don't care about buzzwords, and this one just turned her whole empire into a liability. By morning, the investors weren't calling legal anymore. They were calling me. I let the phone buzz on silent, watched as their names rolled across the screen. Direct dials, private numbers, even a few emails flagged urgent in all caps. The board had finally realized what legal now knew for sure. They didn't own their own infrastructure. The systems weren't down. They were untouchable. Rollback attempts failed. Admin restores bounced. One intern, barely old enough to rent a car, was the first to connect the dots. He pulled up the system license registry and saw it. Every major ops module, every critical endpoint, all tied to Clear Hill Systems. My trust. Not the company, not the board, not Lacy. They had no permissions. They had no way back in. Lacy lost it. I watched the call recording later. Some VP had screen captured the whole meltdown. She was pacing out of frame, yelling about sabotage, waving her hands like someone had stolen her purse. "This is targeted," she said. "He's doing this on purpose. He's retaliating. He's weaponizing the system." General Counsel didn't flinch, didn't blink. He sat there, stone-faced. "No," he said. He followed the contract. Then he ended the call. She didn't come back after that. Later that afternoon, board meetings started happening without her. Private invites, no Lacy, no updates, just gaps on her calendar like someone had taken a black marker to the week. Then it hit Slack. A single message, no emoji, no spin. Lacy C. suspended, pending formal review. 12 words, that's all. No defense, no "thank you for your leadership," no PR spin, just suspended. She'd built her whole image on being untouchable. Connections, buzzwords, big ideas no one dared to question out loud. But she forgot the basics. She forgot about ownership. She forgot who built the damn thing. And now she was locked out of it. I got the board's invitation that night. Subject: private consultation. Board of Directors request. Time: ASAP availability requested. I didn't reply. Not right away. I made tea. I read through logs again. Clean, stable. No signs of outside tampering. No suspicious edits. Just their own failures, stacked up neatly, time-stamped, notarized. They were still scrambling. Still arguing behind closed doors, trying to figure out how to fix something they didn't understand. And me, I sat in my chair, quiet, still, calm. Because leverage doesn't shout, it waits. Mara called me at 7:06 a.m., sharp. She didn't open with small talk, just a slow inhale and, "Nathan, do you have a few minutes?" Her voice was careful, calm, but thin, like she'd been up all night trying to stop something she couldn't even see. "I'm listening," I said. She hesitated. Then, "The board would like your assistance restoring systems access. We're prepared to discuss terms." There it was, the ask. I leaned back in my chair, stared out the window at the empty street, and reached for my notepad. "All right," I said. "Here's what I want." She didn't argue, just listened, pen scratching in the background. 1. Full reinstatement of my original engineering team under direct contract. No pods, no reorg. Their roles, their titles, their pay. Okay. 2. Retroactive indemnity for all actions taken during this period, including my activation of Clause 14(1)(c), signed by corporate and board. Understood. 3. Direct compliance access, permanently tied to my trust. No interference, no filters. If systems break again, I'm the first to see it. Reasonable. 4, I said, pausing just long enough for it to land. 1.7 million, wired to Clear Hill Systems, by close of business. I heard her blink. I didn't change tone. It's not extortion, I added. It's a professional fee. I cleaned up someone else's mess. You want your systems back, you pay the janitor. She didn't push. Give me a few minutes, she said, and hung up. By early afternoon, the wire hit. They didn't push back. 2 minutes later, I confirmed it. Then I typed the access key into my system. The back end shivered, like something frozen coming back to life. Nodes reconnected, modules synced. Routing cleaned itself up in under 12 seconds. Fulfillment snapped back into shape like it had never broken. By 10 WoW, customer support queues were clearing. Refund flags auto-corrected. Compliance audits passed green. The panic ended fast. They called me again. This time it was Mara, the CFO, and a board rep. Your handling of this situation was extraordinary, one of them said. We'd like to offer you a position, Mara added. C-level, your title, your structure, 7% equity, executive support, full budget authority, and an assistant of your choice. I didn't laugh. I didn't yell. I just said, no. There was silence, a long one. Finally, Mara said, can I ask why? I answered without blinking. I wasn't an executive, I said. I was the foundation. I didn't need a title to prove it. I built the thing that kept their company breathing. I wrote the systems that moved their product, protected their audits, and shielded them from lawsuits they didn't even know they were risking. And when they broke it, I was the one they called. Now they knew. At exactly 6:00 a.m., I joined the board call. Everyone was already on, faces gray and drawn, collars wrinkled, eyes red like they had slept under their desks. Nobody said good morning. The CTO leaned forward first. We've tried everything, but systems are still locked. No rollback, no shadow access, nothing. Compliance spoke next. We're out of time. If we miss another sync, we trigger a multi-state audit. It'll be public by noon. Then the CFO. Quiet. Funds were transferred, full amount, legal signed off, the contract's in effect. I nodded once, reached to my left, pulled open the binder, flipped past the first few pages, found the highlighted clause, and read it out loud. Upon breach of technical authority, full operational access reverts to the controlling entity, retained until recovery is complete and confirmed by said entity. I didn't say anything else. No lecture, no victory lap. I closed the binder. Then I left the call. Click. I didn't watch what happened next. Didn't need to. The system knew what to do. 1 hour later, everything snapped back in place. Routing, compliance, fulfillment, all restored like the failure never touched it. I didn't check the dashboards, didn't reread the logs. I trusted what I built. I made coffee, got dressed, stepped outside, went for a walk. No phone, no laptop. Just quiet. When I got back, 3 offers waited on my screen. One was a buyout, one was a CTO title. The third just said, name your number. I didn't open any of them. I was done. Above my desk now hung the envelope. Flattened, frame sealed, timestamp visible. Right under it, printed in black marker. Next time, don't mute the person holding the keys. What would you have done if you held the keys? Drop your answer in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and hit subscribe for more stories.